Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dugout Daily. I'm Charlie, and I'm again joined by Dan. And in this one, we're previewing Manchester City against Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. How are you, Dan, mate?
I'm very good, thank you, mate.
Good to hear. The Manchester City second half of the season juggernaut is rolling, and the Sky Blues will seek a fifth straight Premier League win in Wednesday's clash with Nottingham Forest at the Etihad Stadium, with kickoff at 7:30. Before we get going, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell here at Dugout Daily, and follow me on X at MCFC Hibs to keep updated with the channel. We will start by having a brief look at the table. 32 points separate these sides as City are chasing the title, as we're 5 points behind Arsenal with a game in hand, who travel to play Brighton and Hove Albion at the same time as this game. How do you think Arsenal will get on there, Dan?
Yeah, I think it should be a win for Arsenal. Could hope that Brighton could do a repeat of what they did when they played them in the treble season. I think they gave them two tough games that year and took a few points off them. So hopefully they can win, but I can't see it. Brighton are a very interesting team at the minute. Form is all over the place. I just think, don't think it'll be an easy win for Arsenal. It never is, but I think they should be getting the 3 points there.
Yeah, if you look at Brighton's last five, they've won their last two against Brentford away and Forest at home. Before that, they haven't won in the league since the 3rd of January. So very inconsistent. That includes a draw against us, a draw against Bournemouth at home, a loss away at Fulham, a draw at home to Everton, a loss at home to Palace, and a loss away at Villa. Looking towards the relegation scrap then, where of course Nottingham Forest are playing their trade at the minute. They're 2 points clear of the drop, as West Ham United are currently in 18th. West Ham travel to play Fulham, also a 7:30 kickoff like this one. How do you think that one will go for West Ham? Do you think Forest can get a result that they like, a Fulham win potentially there?
Yeah, I think Fulham should win. I think Fulham they've looked decent so far this last couple of weeks. I think they've got players like Harry Wilson that are coming into form. I think that Kevin's done all right. We're still yet to see much of Oscar Bob, which is probably showing where they are at the minute. So yeah, I'd expect a pretty routine Fulham win, unless West Ham can pull out their run-in sort of thing. But for the relegation battle, teams will start to really up the game now as the pressure mounts in the relegation scrap.
Definitely. We'll look at the form then, starting with City. It's 6 wins in a row in all competitions, including 4 wins in a row in the Premier League. That run of form started as we secured our place in the League Cup final with a dominant 5-1 aggregate win over Newcastle, with a 3-1 win on the night as Omar Marmoush scored a brace and Tijani Reinders scored. Erling Haaland completed a dramatic comeback victory with a 93rd minute penalty at Anfield after Bernardo Silva cancelled out Dominic Szoboszlai's opener in a heated encounter against Liverpool in the Premier League. 3 first-half goals from Antoine Semenyo, Nico O'Reilly and Erling Haaland ensured a comfortable and clinical 3-0 home win for City against Fulham in the Premier League. We then progressed to the 5th round of the FA Cup following an early own goal and a late Mark Guehi finish in a 2-0 win against Salford. And then Nico O'Reilly proved to be the match winner by scoring twice in the first half to secure 3 points against Newcastle in a 2-1 win. And last time out, Antoine Semenyo's clinical finish in first half stoppage time was enough to earn a narrow 1-0 away win at Ellen Road in the Premier League against Leeds, as Erling Haaland missed that game due to injury. We're on a good run of form at the minute, aren't we, Dan?
Yeah, I think this run of form has been, we've been pretty solid throughout. There's been a few nervy encounters, but that's expected with a newly built team in a way, midway through a rebuild. I think it's second half of the season, City, we thought that might crumble a bit with that start in January, but we've really started to hit the ground running now, and we've really looked good. And this is the time now that we're used to seeing us go on these long winning runs, which we're currently on right now. Well, it's looking like we're going to take some stopping in that. I think this is the type of form that'll end up winning us things, the Premier League, Champions League, etc. So it's perfect timing for it, really.
Definitely. City have won 18, drew 5 and lost 5 in the Premier League this season. Scored 96 in all competitions, with 57 in the league, 15 in the Champions League and 24 in the FA and League Cups. We're also unbeaten in the last 13 home games with 7 wins in a row. That run started as Phil Foden bookended a 3-2 win with goals including a 91st minute winner to survive a spirited second half comeback from Leeds in a 3-2 win. Then defensive duo Ruben Diaz and Josko Vardio set the tone for a comfortable 3-0 victory before Phil Foden added a third against 10-man Sunderland. Then Ryan Cherki and Savinho both found the net to navigate City safely through to the League Cup semi-finals with a 2-0 win over Brentford. An Erling Haaland brace and a Tijani Reinders strike ensured a clinical and professional 3 points at the Etihad against West Ham in a 3-0 win. We then had 2 draws in a row, one against Chelsea with a 94th minute equaliser from Enzo Fernandez. And then Erling Haaland's first half penalty was cancelled out by Brighton's Cairo Mitoma as City were held to a second consecutive 1-1 home draw. We then ruthlessly dismantled League One opponents Exeter in the FA Cup third round, featuring 9 different scorers and 2 own goals. We then had first half goals from Omar Marmoush and Antoine Semenyo to provide a straightforward 2-0 win against Wolves. And early strikes from Erling Haaland and Ryan Cherki proved good enough to secure a comfortable 2-0 win over Galatasaray in the Champions League stage. That run of fixtures also includes the previously mentioned 3-1 win and 2-1 win over Newcastle, the 3-0 win over Fulham, and the 2-0 win over Salford. The last time we'd lost at home was against Leverkusen in November. It's a good run of form, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I think, we're really starting to look back to our best. Well, not back to our best, as in that we've ever seen, but we're really starting to look like a proper team at the minute. The consistency of form, especially at home, is what you need in our circumstances when you're fighting on all fronts.
Yeah.
And to have lost one game in since November is very impressive at home. It looks like we're starting to build that form per way as well. So I think our consistency is really starting to come through, and this is very much like the old City in a way. At the start of the Pep era or at any other time, bar last season. That we've really sort of seen the team just cruise this sort of time of year, and it looks like we're doing the same sort of thing here.
Yeah, the away form has been a slight problem throughout the whole season, to be honest. We've been solid at home all season, but we've had poor results away. For example, Newcastle, a loss there, a loss at Villa, a last-minute draw at Arsenal as well. It could be a completely different title race right now if we got even a point, something like that, and hold on at Arsenal. It's a completely different title race, but it is what it is. Pep has won 24 out of 26 home matches on Wednesdays in the Premier League with 22 wins in a row. Quite remarkable numbers there. Looking at Forest form, they've lost their last 3 following securing a commanding 3-goal advantage in their Europa League first leg tie as Murillo, Igor Jesus and Morgan Gibbs-White all found the net in a dominant away win at Fenerbahce. This followed as Alexis McAllister broke Forest's hearts with a dramatic 97th minute winner to secure all 3 points for Liverpool in a 1-0 win. And then, despite a brace from Kerem Aktürkoğlu handing Fenerbahce the 2-1 win on the night, Callum Hudson-Odoi's goal ensured Forest progressed 4-2 on aggregate. And last time out, a frantic opening 15 minutes saw Danny Welbeck net the decisive goal for Brighton in a 2-1 win after Morgan Gibbs-White had briefly equalised for Forest. To be fair to Forest, I didn't expect them to win at Fenerbahce, so you could say it's a slightly better run than expected. What's your thoughts on that, Dan?
Yeah, I suppose it is a decent enough result, going to Fenerbahce. Tough place to go in Turkey. With their atmosphere, etc. That's a horrible game to play.
Yeah.
But then obviously following that up by playing a very poor Brighton team that's struggling, and losing again. This is the thing with Forest. I think their league form this year has been appalling, and that doesn't help that they've had about 75 different managers throughout the season. And obviously at the minute they're in transition between, is it Vitor Pereira and Deitch is the latest.
Yeah.
So I think the team definitely isn't settled at all. The different players will be in and out of that 11. The morale in that dressing room will be all over the place at the minute, and I think that'll really be a vital part in winning the game tomorrow for City.
Definitely. Forest have won 1, drew 2 and lost 3 of their last 6 Premier League games, with their overall record being 7 wins, 6 draws and 15 losses across the Premier League season. They've scored 50 goals, with 26 in the Premier League and 19 in the Europa League, including a couple in both cups. And a quick stat on Pereira, he's currently on a 13-game winless run as a Premier League manager with this season, including his 2 draws and 10 losses as Wolves manager before being sacked. If he don't win this game, he moves straight into second. He's currently joint second, as Terry Connor's Wolves in the 11-12 season also didn't win in 13. Only Paul Jewell has more, with 24 for Derby in the 07-08 season. I don't think that will ever be beaten, to be honest. Looking at the head-to-head, City have won the last 3 against Forest at home by an aggregate score of 11-0. That includes Erling Haaland continuing his prolific start to life in Manchester by netting a clinical hat-trick in the first half and a comprehensive 6-0 rout when Forest were newly promoted in 2022. We maintained our perfect start to the 23-24 season with early goals from Phil Foden and Erling Haaland, despite playing most of the second half with 10 men following Rodri's red card in September 2023. And last season, Kevin De Bruyne inspired City to end a 7-game winless streak with a goal and an assist in a dominant 3-0 win at the Etihad. Again, it's some more positive stats for City there, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I think Forest aren't a team that have really troubled us at home. I know we've lost to them away, but yeah, I think it just shows again the consistency at home that the Etihad. Oh, not just this season, but over multiple seasons that we've played them, and anybody really. We don't lose at home often.
Yeah.
It really is news when we get beat the Etihad. So I think that's perfect reading for us City fans. Really looking forward to tomorrow. It'd be a major shock if Forest could even get a point. Really. Us at home are a very, very, very good team, and I do believe that it should be straightforward enough.
Definitely. These two sides have played 108 times, 46 wins for City, 34 for Forest, and 28 draws. City have won the last 2 as Ryan Cherky starred with a goal and assist in December, including a clinical 83rd minute winner to secure City's 8th consecutive win and briefly move us to the top of the league after a 2-1 win there. And early goals in each half from Rico Lewis and Josko Vardiol at Wembley guided Manchester City to our 3rd successive FA Cup final at the expense of Forest in April 2025. In the last 10 Premier League meetings, City have 5 wins, 2 draws, and Forest have 3 wins, with City unbeaten in the last 4. And Forest have only ever won once at the Etihad. That was in the FA Cup 3rd round in 2009. Next up, then, we will look at the team news, starting with City. Erling Haaland's a doubt. Pep said he feels much better in his press conference today. There will a decision today after training. Of course, we won't know that until the team's out tomorrow. I should expect he's in the squad. I believe I read that earlier. Nico O'Reilly's in the same boat as Haaland in terms of his availability after his ankle knock at Leeds. Josko Vardiol is out with his tibial fracture. Mateo Kovacic is out with his Achilles injury. And Max Allain is out with a knock. Fingers crossed Haaland and O'Reilly are both available, Dan?
I think Haaland will be a big one. I think we did struggle a bit at times at Leeds massively with Marmoush, who's a completely different player, and I just think he looked a bit and completely out of depth in that system. And Semenyo had to really do the heavy lifting up front for that game. But I think it'd be better off resting him now and getting him for a few more weeks. At the end, there's no point rushing him back for Forest.
No.
I'd much rather him rest up if he's not ready. If he is ready, perfect. But I suppose that'll only come out when the staff have told Pep that he is ready. I'm sure they know inside the camp at the minute. But I think both of them will be fit. I think O'Reilly obviously appearing back in training fairly quickly the other day was a very good sign. Yeah. So I think it should be not too big of a deal. There's obviously no long-term injuries in there for either of them, which is massive because they're probably arguably our two most important players this season.
Yeah, definitely. Next up then, we will look at our predicted lineup for City before looking at Forest's absentees. So this is what I have gone for in terms of tomorrow's game. I think Tijjani Reinders would be the beneficiary if O'Reilly is spared and could even be part of the 3 changes I've said from the game against Leeds. As I've said, Nico Gonzalez will also come in for Rodri and Phil Foden will be in for Bernardo Silva. Omar Marmoush should be retained up front if Haaland is spared, and Ryan Shirky and Antoine Semenyo should also be retained out wide, I think, and I expect the same back 5. Therefore, I've gone for Donnarumma in goal, a back 4 of Nunes, Diaz, Guehi and Aït-Nouri with Reinders, Gonzalez and Foden in midfield, Semenyo, Marmoush and Shirky. We will look at Dan's team then. It's very similar to mine. The only change is Marmoush for Haaland. Who do you think the key men will be tomorrow night, Dan?
Tomorrow night, I think it's... I'll say it once again. It's a massive night for Foden. He's been really poor recently, so he's got to have a big performance soon. We thought that was coming with Salford. It never came. We thought, he should be coming off the bench. He's been very unlucky, to be fair. But he really needs a goal or an assist or something massive tomorrow. I think Semenyo and Cherky, those 2 wine men, will always be probably our biggest threats at the minute. I think Haaland, I think he will play, but I can't see him playing the full 90. Again, I think our defence again will be solid. Should be solid enough. Probably shouldn't be troubled too much. I think Reinders again. He's another good player that's been off it for a few weeks. So I think if the areas is that midfield really. I think Gonzalez as well will come in hopefully for Rodri, give him a bit of rest. And it'll be interesting to see how he can react from being out of the team for however many games it's been. And hopefully we should have the game put to bed relatively early so we can rest players for Newcastle on Saturday. Which would be ideal. It'd be nice to see some players come back into the team as well. It'd be nice to see Doku get some minutes. Maybe bring Stones in. Maybe even Savino to get minutes. I'm not sure about that. But, I think he probably will. I mean, Pep loves him, doesn't he? So it'd be nice to see that team go on and get the game finished early enough. Maybe rest Haaland as well. We really could do without him being injured long term. So if he can put 65 minutes in the tank, say, and bring Marmoush on and see what Marmoush can do. Hopefully, he's a bit better than he's been recently. That's my thoughts for tomorrow. I think that a few changes. but that's expected.
Yeah, definitely. We will look at Forest team news then before looking at their predicted 11 via Sportsmole. It looks like Stefan Ortega is going to miss his reunion with City with a calf injury. Also, John Victor, Chris Wood, Willy Bolly, and Nicolo Savona are all out with knee injuries. So next up then is Forest's predicted 11 before our score predictions. So here is the predicted Forest team. Nets in goal, a back four of Olarena, Milenkovic, Murillo, and Luca Nets, who will be in for the replacing the tired Nico Williams. He looked knackered on Sunday in the game against Brighton. Sangare and Anderson in midfield, with Ndoye, Gibbs-White, and Hudson-Odoi behind Igor Jesus in attack. Who do you see being the key men for Forest there, Dan?
Well, I think if first of all, if Forest are going to get anything out of the game, they're going to need Matt Sells to step up into his form from last season. I think, I mean, that double pivot of Anderson and Sangare, I rate very highly, both of them. So I think that'll be a key area. I think City should theoretically have enough to get past that. But I think tomorrow it'll be a really interesting watch to see how Elliot Anderson plays. You know, is he potentially putting a show on for the City scouts and Pep Guardiola for the summer? We'll see. I think Ndoye and Hudson-Odoi will both probably be fairly dangerous. You know, they're both players that they're fairly quick, can cause problems. And will like to cut in, which is going to be interesting if you take our lack of pace in our back line. You know, maybe an introduction of Abdul Kusanov later on in the game if we struggle with that. Apart from that, I don't see much that's going to cause us too many problems. I think Igor Jesus just doesn't fit Forest. You know, I've watched him a few times. He just doesn't fit Forest. I think Gibbs-White isn't too much of a problem either that I see. He's very average in my opinion. I think maybe the fullbacks, but I don't think we'll give them much opportunity to get up the pitch. So, I think we should be all right tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully. Of course, we covered a video looking at the potential signings of Elliot Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White to City. Then Dan's basically just said his thoughts on Gibbs-White, but make sure you check that one out. It is time for the score prediction, then I'll go first. The odds are heavily stacked in City's favour, as you've just said, Dan. We're at home and we're in good form. Forest look jaded after a tough run of fixtures and have a poor away record at City, with Pereira yet to win a Premier League game this season. I think City will be too strong, and I think we'll get a couple of goals and keep a clean sheet, as we have done in 2 of our last 3 home games, to keep the title push alive and extend our winning run. So I'm going to say 3-0 to City. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I'm going to go similar tomorrow. I think it'll be. I'm going to go 4-0. I'm going to go slightly more optimistic. Might be a bit too much. I probably did think at first 3-0, but you know what? I'm going to push it out. I'm going to go 4-0. I think there's several players in that team that have got a lot to play for, not just in terms of a City place, but there's several players. You know, you look at Foden and Nico Gonzalez and whatnot, who've got a World Cup place to play for in the national team. I think there'll be a few top performances tomorrow night, and that should see City absolutely obliterate Forest.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully the review is as positive as the preview's been. Hopefully Brighton could do us a favour as well. How likely that is, I'm not sure. Anyways, that is it for this video then. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell here at Dugout Daily. And we will be back in the next couple of days for a match review. Everybody, thank you so much, and come on City. Cheers, fellas.